everyone. Trisha Curtis, CEO of Petronas and host of the Petronas podcast. It is Friday, September 26, 2025, and holy crap, there's so much going on in the world and so much going on in the news. It is really hard to actually keep up with all of that and actually deep dive on things that I have to do, like China and the history. So what's happening right now, just a little snippet to get you up to speed, is that we had oil prices open this week at Sunday evening. When I'm looking at the market and watching CNBC at 10 o'clock at night on Sunday evening, we actually saw oil prices open at $61 and change. And right now on Friday, we close at $65 and change for WTI. We actually touched $70 for Brent. So a lot going on in that space. And really what's driving that move up in oil prices, that prop up, is firstly, the market's not really covering oil prices well, right? The market's not really covering traditional fuels in the oil sector well. And so there's a tendency to oversell on oil. Now that we do have a lot of supply on the market. We have a lot of supply from the US. We have a lot of uncertainty on the demand picture. However, with all that being said, we don't have demand falling off a cliff or eroding materially. And so we have this overwhelmingly sell button and not too much gut and algorithmic trading that's selling oil, as opposed to, taking in these geopolitical realities. And the reality is that geopolitics won the day this week and moved oil prices up a few dollars a barrel, as it did a couple weeks ago when we also saw $65 a barrel. And that is because we saw Ukraine hit Russian refineries a couple weeks ago, and they continue to do that this week, over the course of this week. Additionally, you've seen Russian drones and aircrafts actually go into Polish airspace, Romanian airspace, and Estonian airspace in the past 2 weeks. And when Zelinsky was meeting with Trump on the back of the UN meeting in New York this week, when Trump was asked in this meeting with Zelinsky if NATO members or European countries should shoot down Russian airplanes or drones, he said absolutely yes. So essentially what the market is doing is reinterpreting. They had overly interpreted that when Putin and Trump met in Alaska, the market just priced in a whole peace deal, which was ridiculous. And then now they're basically saying we have to roll that back. So the market inappropriately priced it in. But that is just a quick snapshot of what's going on. I put a lengthy LinkedIn post to everything that's going on in the market. I have been on the road for the last several weeks, so catching up now, but I was in Washington, D.C., which watched this incredible fighter jet fly over. Lots of meetings and stuff happened in Washington, D.C. Before that, though, I was in Midland, Texas at the end of August. Then I was in Washington. Then I went to Houston and for the Houston Producers Forum, which was fantastic, with Ron Gusick and Andrew Navanti and Sheldon Burleson for an incredible panel with Houston Producers Forum, which will be a future podcast. And then I was in Bismarck, North Dakota with Nathan Anderson and the North Dakota Department of Mineral Resources, doing a very deep dive for them. And then not last week, but the week before, I was in Fort Worth, both for Whitley Penn's second conference and Fueling the Future, doing a keynote for them that went off really, really well, that it will be an incredible podcast because I did record that. And then I was right after that, I walked over and gave a talk to the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce. So huge thanks to Ryan Haggerty for inviting me, having me in there. That went really well. Such a great crew in Fort Worth, and such interest in the economy and in oil and generally more broadly. So with that, folks, thank you guys so much for listening. The latest couple podcasts are absolutely worth a listen. So episode 141 of the Petronas podcast just dropped today, and that is a recording that I did with Jason Isaac with the American Energy Institute. We did that in DC. I give a fresh 30-minute up-to-date market update on everything happening in oil, but it's an awesome professional studio that we recorded in, so definitely worth listening and watching with Jason Isaac. And then the previous one, episode 140, is the keynote talk I gave with Whitley Penn, their Fueling the Future conference, the first one in Midland, Texas. Absolutely worth watching and taking a listen to. The feedback has been really, really good, folks. So with that, folks, talk to you soon. If you love this shirt, there's more. There's awesome Petronas stuff. My sister helped me make this with her Cricut, so huge thanks to her. But thank you guys so much for listening. And Stuart Turley just dropped a podcast. I'll also be dropping that, but it's a really, really great conversation. It's getting a lot of buzz on my pushback on peak shale. So talk to you soon, folks. Bye.